Isn't it interesting how so many people who clearly are not actually remotely on the left and are in fact just centrist liberals, nonetheless really want to appropriate that label for themselves and anyone who is actually on the left as basically some sort of crazy idiot? Let's talk about that. Here's a great example of it. The left always loses and it has to change, say a whole lot of influencers whose opinions are best described as "this is bad for your cause," says person who is against your cause. Now, if we take this statement as true, which to be clear, it's not, as many groups of people of varying size that could be described as having leftist ideologies have won resounding victories against often incredibly impossible odds in modern history. So first, what is the left? This is something that is difficult to describe in detail, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to say, very broadly, the left is basically counter-hegemonic politics, at least as it exists today in the present world system. That's what it is. Opposition to the global status quo of capitalist imperialism. And no, I'm not just talking about right-wing attempts to appropriate that sort of rhetoric and aesthetic. So when you're fighting against overwhelming power like that, you are essentially attempting to unite the dispossessed, propagandized, and poor masses of the world against the very system that dominates the world and that puts them in the position that they are in. And in that situation, you are actually bound to lose a lot. A ton, in fact. Because you're not in a position of power. You're starting from basically nothing, and the people who you are opposed to have everything they could ever need to prevent you from succeeding. So of course you're going to lose a lot, especially since your ultimate victory can only ever come with basically near total systemic abolition. And this is hardly something to criticize, hardly something to use to mock others who are supposedly on your side, as this simply comes with the territory. You fight against power, you're going to take some powerful blows in return. It's normal. People fought and schemed against monarchy for many hundreds, if not thousands of years as well. Yet I couldn't imagine a supposed good faith critic who's actually on the side of those anti-monarchists, mocking them for supposedly being huge losers who just can't win because of some sort of flaw with how they operate or what they believe, all because they dared to try and fail against impossible odds, or at least odds that seemed impossible until all of a sudden the whole thing came crashing down. So quite simply, Natalie Wynn and others like her are not on the left, not at all. Not even close. Nor is she someone who wants to see the left win, as she implies. She in fact wants the exact opposite to that. She is someone who is interested in liquidating the left, in everything but name, and then appropriating that name, that branding, for the status quo. The result of the thinking and prescriptions of the many people like this are always the same. The supposed left, for them, is presented not as an actual political framework, as a set of principles to abide by or aims to aim for, but rather it's like a sports team, and it's simply using the wrong tactics. In order to succeed, it needs to start using tactics that are closer to those that have already proven to be successful, like being closer to the status quo. So if the left is to start winning, it needs to be more and more hegemonic. It needs to stop being against the dominant system and being more for it. It has to make concessions to the status quo. It needs to become a part of the system itself. But the left is not a sports team. So to treat it as you would your city name sports bears, as people like this very much would like you to, just out to sort of win for the sake of winning, is a demand for the left to abandon everything that actually makes it the left. Because the left is not a team that is out to win the championship, which to people like this is just helping the US Democrats win the latest election. And literally nothing else in the world exists. Not another country, not another political race, nothing. So if what you value is just being on the winning side, rather than actually fighting a world genociding system and its beneficiaries and advocates and representatives who will defend it to the death, then you should just join the side of the American empire. Rather than pretending to be against it, but just being pragmatic in your means and ending up being a part of it, as people like this do. And Natalie Wynn provides us with an excellent example of how to do that, as she factually does exactly that. She's a good pal of arch-imperialist, genocidal war criminal Hillary Clinton, showing quite clearly where her political prescriptions actually lead, right into one side of the American empire's two-party system. Wow, great leftism. So her goal is not to help the left win or whatever. Her goal is to move you from the left to the center, to get you operating within the confines of the status quo, to make you no longer a threat to the system, and to assure you that you and her in this position will be those who are actually somehow challenging the system and all of its innate injustices. Unlike those stupid loser leftists who lose by getting genocided by her friend Hillary Clinton and others like her. Stupid losers, why don't they just join the winning team like she did? So her goal is to make the left mean something else entirely. She wants to appropriate the name for the system. Someone like this who has benefited so much from the present system that it's even gotten her direct connections to some of the most powerful and ruthless criminals at its head, that she can live a lavish life of producing one single substanceless video once every 2 years. Her class position is that of someone who has every incentive to push you towards maintaining the system that so benefits her. And that is precisely what she does. It's what's expected of her. She's no one special here. A drop in the bucket. There are countless millions upon millions of others whose job it is to do the exact same thing. And it's on you to prevent them from misleading you. Because if you're already here, then it's going to be because you either believe yourself to be in a position in which the current system doesn't work for you, or unlike Natalie Wynn, you care enough about other people to look beyond your own interests and try to help prevent the system from hurting others anymore. That makes you ripe for recruitment to this so-called left, and that makes you a danger to people like her and their class position. So her role is to take advantage of that, to reach out to people like you and convince you that you can somehow fight this system by becoming a part of it, by, joining the Democratic Party or whatever, by aligning yourself with the very butchers whose primary concern is and always will be maintaining it. But you obviously can't fight the system in that way. The way that you fight it is a whole lot more difficult than that, a whole lot less comfortable to think about than that, something that takes a whole lot more work than just doing that does. It's building something yourself, with others like you, rather than just being subsumed into the status quo, and changing absolutely everything about your actual beliefs and aims to the point that they are unrecognizable, in the name of simply winning. Don't let them lie to you. I don't like to cater to the extreme focus on Americans and the USA in these sorts of discussions, though it's kind of inevitable. So look, the entire reason that you guys are in the mess that you're in now, which for the rest of us isn't really much of a mess at all, it's because you have followed these sorts of prescriptions from people like this for many decades. When you could have been building up alternatives, you were instead working within the Democratic Party at the behest of supposedly real left influencers who are way better than those crazy far lefties, just like Natalie Wynn. It's all because instead of taking the time to build these alternatives, you just get swindled by these propagandists who convince you that the easy way out is actually the true way out. And then, shock, horror, the easy way out just subsumed you into the system, just made you another part of it, yet again. Wow. So if you really want to stop losing, if you really want to stop allowing these people to turn you into another cog in the wheel of the status quo, stop doing that. Because even if you did follow the prescriptions of someone like Natalie Wynn, and you join the Democratic Party and, I don't know, maybe you canvass and you help them win a presidential election, that wouldn't be a win for the left at all. It would be a win, in fact, for the exact opposite of what you originally stood for. That can, in fact, only ever be a loss for the left. Remember that.